Hello, friends. This is Karen Clark. I'm inviting you, as the activist executive director of the Women's Environmental Institute, to check out a short video about WEI's 20th year anniversary celebration. This video contains some of the stories about our successes, our challenges, and the road ahead. And we're also honoring some of the individuals who helped make our environmental justice mission possible and so strong. Please check it out, and if you're inspired, as I hope you will be, consider becoming a member of the Women's Environmental Institute, either as an individual or maybe as an organization, or consider making a donation and investment in our next 20 years. So thank you, and please enjoy the video.
We salute the cosmos, the place of the sun, El Sol, Tonatiuh, the place of the moon, Luna, Metzli, and the home of the stars we see in the darkness of the night sky. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Sylvia, and all of the drummers. We're honored with your presence and welcoming us here to this land that was stolen from the Dakota people, and that continues to be a place where we are allowed to help nurture the earth. Best beginning we could have had to really offer our thanks and our connections together. Thank you so much. So where did the Women's Environmental Institute get started? Why did it ever begin? And let me just say, in 2002, there were a group of us, mostly environmental and justice advocates, who met on Franklin Avenue, and we started talking about what was going on in the environmental movement, and that there was this big gap. People were talking about the earth and the animals and so on, but there wasn't really a discussion about the racial and gender impacts that were happening because of what's going on in the environment. And so we decided that we wanted to do some work on the issue of environmental justice. We are very determined and very connected and want the rural and urban parts of environmental justice to be connected. I mentioned the urban part of what we're doing, and some of you know the work that we've been fighting for in the East Phillips neighborhood in the green zone. There's going to be an urban farm in East Phillips. Let me just say that we view organic agriculture as a strategy towards environmental justice. At some point, I think I might get Jackie to come up here and talk a little bit about a couple of the farming issues that we've been working on, and that she's really provided leadership with. North Circle Project, Veggie RX Project. Kali was on our board shortly after it got started, and he's going to tell you some stories. I'm going to tell you a few stories, and then we're going to have some time for you to tell what relevance the Women's Environmental Institute has to you. Kelly Graddick is an incredible person. This man has helped create a whole movement that started in the South with his family and ancestors. And we're so fortunate to have him be with us. And Kelly started with us. He was on our board for 10 years. We have a little 10-year limit to go off for a little while. He came back, and we have him back on the board. Kelly Graddick.
Good evening, and thank you. Thank you, Karen. It's good to see a lot of familiar faces here. The department came to me and said, Carla, we have a problem. We have an arsenic triangle in South Minneapolis, and we have to let people know that we have to tear up their yards and take out the soil and move in other soils. I took the job. I say yes, I'm concerned about that community, and with the relationship I had made with Susan Gus, she was like, well, I know someone else who can help. Her name is Karen Clark. We worked on that project and got the arsenic cleaned up, and I'm not sure what inspired her to ask me to be on the board of the Women's Environment Institute. And I'm a man, you know, it's been 20 years, and I just thought about it. I'm a man on the board of the Women's Environment Institute because I never gave it a second thought to being on that board.
Jackie is one of the co-founders of this organization, and we're honored to have her with us all the time. Oops.
Oh. I'm so excited to see all of you because I think I know many of you, and I realize we did this together, it just is humbling. 20 years ago, I was sitting in an office at the University of Minnesota as a philosophy professor, really worried about ontological issues. And all of a sudden, I started teaching more on feminism and farming, women in farming, agriculture and gender, agriculture and race, and my interest was shifting. Little did I know I would land on the land. Learned a lot, trained a lot of people, made a lot of relationships, and we have some remarkable programs, and people need these skills. They need a system like we're developing in our region, East Central, which is an online farmers market where we're trying to support our local organic and sustainable farmers. We want to grow good food for people. I'm 76 and Karen is even older. So we are ready for you to come to us and say, I want to be here. I want to help here, right? So consider this an open invitation. I do think I have another 20 years, but not another 20-year anniversary for this institution. The institution we want to continue. We want to continue this legacy. We want to continue on the land in a place. We're going to protect this land so no developers can take it. We want to continue our education. We want to continue teaching people how to grow food. And we want to get a healthy and more viable world in front of us. So you're invited.
Thank you, Jackie. Peg was our first board chair, and she was the brilliant person who figured out how you get land.
Hi, my name is Peg Thomas, and we started in 2002 looking at this, and the nonprofit actually came into existence in 2003. We got $200,000 worth of donations put into to collateralize this loan. We got little grants here and there from people. Tonight, or when you go home, sometime this week, send money to Women's Environmental Institute, because we had 20 years, and it was rough and tumble every now and then, but we're going to have another 20 years, and it's going to be rough and tumble. Think about it, go home, give as much as you can.
This man taught us so much about what we needed to know and to bring out about how the soil is what we have to deal with. That's what we have to love. That's what we have to work with. And he is just a person who had given us so much heart and information as we've needed. And Will, would you just come forward and say a few words, please?
To be able to stay in a business or operate an organization for 20 years is quite a feat. I mean, it's a tremendous feat. And probably the number one thing that it takes is great leadership. So when I think of Karen and Jacqueline, WEI has had great leadership. As we look at 20 years later, I recognize a lot of people that walked the path with them. People like Hillary and people like Chad, who's working with these young people, who are the next generation. Like Karen had said, we need to create a next generation of folks that are going to continue this work, because we're losing our agricultural land to development, to greed. So I'm going to be here to help them as long as I can and pass on what I come from a family that's been farming for over 400 years with my native roots and my African American roots, and we'll continue that because my daughter's a farmer in Illinois. So we need to support organizations like this to keep this going. But anyway, I just want to thank all of you, because this is a tremendous turnout. They were really nervous that, is anybody going to show up? Of course they're going to show up because of the tremendous work that they've done. For the last 12 years, we've had a workshop out on the farm, and there have been hundreds, over 1,000 people, I would say, have been there. So we want to continue that work and, again, pass it on to the next generation. Thanks so much.
The urban-rural connection is really important. And before we talk a little bit more about the farm, I want to introduce someone who helped us look at that connection, and specifically our mission of environmental justice, which we defined as the disproportionate impact of environmental toxic exposure on low-income communities, communities of color, Native American communities. And one of the ways that WI works when we're doing that kind of work in any part of the community is to establish a local advisory committee. So we do it right, and it really belongs to the people who are creating the work there, creating the project. Dr. Li Sheng, who was the head of the advisory committee that was created to look at the impact of perfluorochemicals over here. Li Pao, would you honor us with a few words and talk about the work, your leadership and what you did?
Thank you. My name is Li Pao Sheng. I direct the Center for Hmong Studies at Concordia University, St. Paul. So in 2004, when I became the director, got a call from Karen saying, let's talk more about what's happening on the east side of St. Paul. So anyways, the Hmong community in Laos, in China, were known as the Mel people. And the Mel people are credited with being the first to cultivate wet rice. So if you go to China, rice terraces, you wonder how we got water all the way to the top of the mountains. We've been doing that for 5,000 years. We trusted the land, and we trusted the institutions. In the East Metro, we have, PFC. And our Hmong farmers were actually farming right a little bit north of that, where the epicenter of all of this. The farmers that we rented the land from didn't inform us that the land was contaminated. We felt that, the community and these farmers does have the right to know. And so we work with WEI and also Dr. Ferdinand Ollier to basically craft a curriculum to train the trainers on the harmful effect of PFC and the perfluorochemical. Get emotional about these things because, again, we trusted the land that we grow our vegetables in. We trusted the government institutions to protect us. We trust many of the industry, 3M, to also protect us, to inform us. We trust our government, the public health, to include us and to let us know what was happening. When they held all of these meetings, they excluded the Hmong. They never invited the Hmong to be part, and yet they were farming right next to the epicenter, raising vegetables, growing vegetables to feed their family and to feed all of you. You're doing good work, and thank you. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me just take this moment to thank Kathy Kornblum and others who have been working so hard to make it possible for Dr. Ollier to join us. I'm going to give you just a slight introduction to her. This is a woman that we wanted to bring back tonight to this area. to thank her and to honor her for her incredibly courageous leadership and sacrifice that she did personally and professionally to help deal with this issue that Li Paosheng was just talking about, having people get the right to know when they're living and working with toxic exposure in their community. Someone had to tell us about that. And it wasn't the state agencies that should have been doing it. And she lost her job and her ability to work in Minnesota because she told the truth and told it to the public and told us all. So I want to say thank you. And if you would just go ahead and share some of your story with us, because it's very inspiring, and it also points the way to some of the progress we've been making in Minnesota with trying to understand what we can do about the right to know about the forever chemicals. Dr. Fardine Ollier.
Thank you for including me in this very important event that I think that I have been from the beginning of WEI. That I am a chemist. I have a PhD in environmental science with emphasis work practicing with epidemiology and toxicology. When I started my research in this topic, I had no support. I even was reprimanded for doing any kind of research on this subject, PFAS contamination. The 3M that was denying the toxicity and persistence of these PFAS, perfluoroalkyl, the chemical substances. Now they call them forever chemicals because of their persistence in the environment, which is beyond the human life. These are all started in 2002, and I reached out to Karen, and she was very supportive. We find out that these chemicals have been in the environment since late 1940s. And 3M practically knew about the toxicity of this chemical because of their own worker, especially pregnant women who were exposed to this chemical. I tried to go to my managers, and being the coordinator of the emerging not regulated toxic chemicals, I supposed to have the authority to get a statewide monitoring, but they just keep blocking every possible door on me. So I went to our commissioner, Sherry Corrigan, who's first, knowing that I've been at PCA for 16 years as a advanced scientist, and then she said to me, if you want to work in this chemical, this is not a research institution, you better leave. So in a way, wanted me to quit. I talked to other legislatures like John Mardy, and I had to attend in 2005 a Senate hearing so that we talk about so that the public hear about the story that I was banned to share. NPR became interested in my issue, and they wanted to interview me. It was again end of 2004, beginning of 2005, and but the PCA did not allow me to do, and they told me if I do that, I will be reprimanded. After my interview, I was reprimanded. I was still working with some of my scientist colleagues that secretly taking sample. We even went behind the Mississippi River where that the 3M wastewater treatment plant discharges was coming down. And that was when we find out that in some of the fish in the Mississippi River, the amount of PFAS in the blood of this animal was the fish was it was like as there is no blood, it is all PFCs. From my 2002 to 2005, all the research that I've done in a 100-page, very reliable report that I have shared. And it was all accurate information from sampling and coming to the funding of all these chemicals. But MPCA did not officially accept that. Instead, later, a month later, was replaced with another publication from 3M. The corruption was devastating, and it was difficult for me to understand. But the most important part of what I have done, and I should give credit to WEI and honestly Karen and Jackie and other WEI, the hardworking members, we went to Washington County closed landfill, and I tried to show them how the groundwater is being pumped out and to aerate these chemicals to the air for decades was dumping 3M chemical, the toxics in there and coming back to the surface and contaminating this land that Hmong population were renting. I'd been a single mom having 2 sons at that time in the college and high school, and they told me that either you quit or the guard will escort you out. My brother, who was a few years older than me, was facing with leukemia, and he was my strongest advocate.
Well, we're with you, Fardeen, and we recognize your incredible sacrifice and gift to us.
Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you, Dr. Fardeen. Thank you so much.
I was thinking as I was sitting listening to all this, I was thinking about how the music that started us off was about Mother Earth, and we're all part of Mother Earth. And in a weird way, it made me feel slightly more cheerful. We're only like a few generations of mistakes, and there's at least 2,000-3,000 years of people doing it right. And it occurred to me that the moon dance, which happened at WEI, is a good example of people who know that they're in harmony with the earth. They treat the earth right, and the earth will treat them right. I was remembering when Sylvia first arrived at WEI, she said to me, "Can we have some space for our dance? Will you show me where it is?" When we got to the land, she began singing a song in Nahuatl. It was the butterfly song. At the end of the third stanza, we just stood still for a moment, and 2 butterflies appeared, and they flew down right in front of Sylvia, and they landed on the ground in front of her. And she said to me, "This is the center of the dancing circle."
I didn't know she was going to tell me that story, because here's what I bought for a gift that you can put in the turtle dome or wherever you feel comfortable. This is in honor of today's 20th anniversary. You can put it wherever you feel comfortable. Beautiful.
Beautiful. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Hillary, for telling that story.
I didn't know Hillary. Hillary told me that for the first time. I couldn't remember that. It was 16 years ago. So, and Hillary always got it. She knew. She knows the non-ordinary reality. Yeah, and I was told I had 30 days to get the permit. And she says, "No, you have 3 days." So I asked my dear friend, Sheila Band, to help me. And she said, "Okay, I will." Now you tell the story.
Okay, so Hillary and I went to the county seat to try to defend the right to play the drums. The real complaint, or at least the complaint, Hillary was there, by the way. We were the team. The complaint, go ahead. You going to say something?
No.
Okay, so the complaint was that we were too noisy. They didn't want the drumming. They didn't want to give the permit. Hillary is a very polite woman, and she was very polite to them. And finally I said, "You know, once upon a time, you forbade another cultural group to play a drum. You outlawed it. And you do not want to create that mistake yet again."
I honor the three women at WI because they've mentored Mexican women. Now one's a city council member in Minneapolis, another one's a mayor. So when we do this battle, it's be like a butterfly warrior. And don't take anybody else's issues as your own. Just develop your own sense of believing in your dream. We are an open circle. Come and visit us. Your friends of WI are welcome to visit.
This woman, well, I'm going to let you describe your work with us because you are incredible, and we're grateful for you being here tonight.
Sure. Well, my name is Lucy, and at one time with Mary, right there, she's the ED of the Indian Center, now American Indian Center in Minneapolis. And when I was working at Little Earth, I got to help build the Little Earth Urban Farm. So there is the East Phillips Farm already. She invited us to go to Urban Farm School that she held in the basement of the old Sears building.
Jackie put it together.
And I thought I was going to go learn how to grow tomatoes and things like that, but no, I learned about the food system and about my role in it and how I could do better. I learned about permaculture and the bees and herbicides and pesticides and just everything. That's where our food system is today and how we can start to bring that back or roll it back to a place that's more sustainable. And with the women's group at Little Earth, we started the Little Earth Urban Farm. In each spring, all the years, WEI invited us up to their farm and allowed us to use their greenhouse to start our seedlings. And I have one really great story from that. I work alongside a beautiful woman by the name of Darlene Fairbanks. She was the resident advocate there for many, many years. And she liked kohlrabi.
Oh, that's right.
Who knows? But she did 4 trays of kohlrabi. And we had kohlrabi coming out of our ears, literally. But what we found out is the kids liked them. They would go sneak in there in the evening and they'd go pick them. And one night, me and Darlene were going to water the plants, and the kids are sneaking out, and they're like, well, we like these. And we're like, eat them, please. There's so many. And that was always something we looked forward to, was doing our seedlings. We knew it was going to be something good. So thank you, Karen, and thank you, WEI.
We're grateful to the sponsors also that helped us put this whole evening together, and we've tried to recognize them in the program, so I hope that you'll take a look at that. We're perking away. We have more work to do, but we are going forward, and it's sponsors like these and sponsors like the folks, some of whom are in this room and are named in this program. We appreciate that you helped us last this long. Our community band is here to send us off, and I just want to say a final word as we are able to leave. This is a way we can all leave together. Thank you. Thank you for being here with us tonight. So thank you for all the energy and love and presence that you brought with us here tonight. Your community band is here, and they are going to send us on our way.
Thank you, and happy anniversary, Women's Environmental Institute.
Feliz aniversario, Karen. 20 years, what an exciting thing.
Time is just great to celebrate 20 years of WEI.